was only when my second little one, Thomas, came along that eczema like struck me like a ton of bricks. And it was when he was about 3 months, 6 weeks to 3 months old, between 6 to 12 weeks old. And it was strong and it was fast and it was brutal. And he had a big open wound on the side of his face. It was just an open wound. There was no way to describe it. The eczema had kind of coagulated into one big patch, and he'd kept to scratch it, and it was open. And I'd gone obviously down all the routes of the normal that you go to the doctor, you get allergy tests, you ask this, that, and the next thing. And the only road forward I could see was that he would need to be on steroid for a fair amount of time until he outgrew it or whatever was going to happen. But I wouldn't settle for it, and I put my mind to it based on everything I'd learned through my first pregnancy. At the time, I'd already started Ossa Organic. I was very familiar with how food and skin, food and body, food and mind are related, food and gut. And I decided, no, I'm going to get to the bottom of this. And by the time he was 1 year old, he was completely clear of all his eczema all over his entire body. And he was a chronic case, and he's never, ever, ever had eczema again. And I've talked openly on my channel a bit further back, a couple of years ago, actually, how his eczema got so deep-seated that he has bouts of asthma. And last time we were in Greece as a family, which was many years ago, he had a little bout with asthma. So I do talk a lot about the interconnectedness of those two illnesses and how you deal with it. And then finally, fast forward 5 years later, I had my third son, Bo, and he was born naturally at home. And I thought to myself, do you know what? Once I've had a home birth and I've healed my own self around birth and gone down that whole route, still with eczema, because chances are he won't have it at all because he was seeded through the vaginal microbiome and all the stuff they talk about. Lo and behold, by the time he was about 10 months old, he came out with eczema like Thomas's and potentially a little bit worse. And that's when I really started to dig even deeper. And that's brought me to today. He's struggled with eczema for a much longer period of time than Thomas, because what I want people to understand is the younger your child, the more control you have over them and the more able you are to nourish them, to give them the right foods. You know, when you're dealing with 9, 10, 15, 16 years old, it's very difficult to tell them what they eat and to monitor their diet. And it goes beyond that as well, the constitution of a person, which I talk about quite a lot. But I found it a lot harder to cure, heal, work with a child that was 1 up to 2, where his eczema really flared, versus a child that was 3 months to 1. But we put all the same protocols into place, and now we have 3 very, very happy, healthy children. And it's a massive part of my life's mission to share everything that I did, because I was like the strange mom in the creche whose child had I had like an activated charcoal and bentonite clay like poultice on the side of his face that would cover the wound. And people thought I was absolutely nuts, but now Thomas will be 8, and he's been clear, and I'm so proud, and other mothers should deserve to know this information.
Oh, that's just incredible. And it's amazing. I can so resonate with your story. The symptoms that we've had without different, the journey feels very similar. So as a mother, when you're trying to get to the bottom of these symptoms and go for an answer, and you think we need to find out how to sort this out, then you will just not stop until you find the answer. The answers are there. I loved how you mentioned as well that everything is interconnected. So with the allergies and the asthma and eczema, we are all one body. You know, we can't look at things in sections. You know, if one child, then we need to look at the whole body. Everything is just so connected. I loved how you said that.
It's so important. A part that I left out, which is vitally important, and I've been voice noting to so many people since Sam shared her reel. Eczema is also an emotional illness. It affects the energy, the emotions, and the character of the person suffering. So whether you're an adult with eczema on your eyelids on your wedding day as a woman, or you're a child with painful eczema and you can't sleep at night, it affects the character of the individual. And that's why it's so difficult for moms, because our children are not their true selves when they're suffering. It's so hard for us. So I would say that if you're dealing with a doctor or a GP or someone that's telling you that there's no connection to diet or anything outside of the skin, you're definitely dealing with the wrong person. And sadly, in this modern world, we have to look for information outside of the normal channels. That was probably my greatest lesson from eczema, to which I'm so grateful, that I actually realized that I know everything I need to know. I can find out things that I need to find out, and I need to look in obscure places, sadly, because everything that's presented to us on a plate that's free, the prescriptions come free, that's just down the road at the pharmacy, is unfortunately not the solution, especially when it comes to eczema, unless you want a lifelong relationship with steroids. And then there's the whole unknown topical steroid withdrawal, which is never talked about. No doctor ever would say, by the way, be careful you don't use this for longer than X amount of months, weeks, years because of TSW. So there's a lot to uncover.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, really hard to break through that barrier of in your own intuition over the voice of the doctor. You know, I just know at the very, very beginning of my journey, I would have been so much more comfortable to give my children a prescription from the doctor, because the responsibility lies, my whole trust is with them. Looking, what can we do? We work on things ourselves, and just so I think having the tools and having the knowledge is such a gift to people to be to. It's just amazing.
It is. And being here, you people listening to this live, that's taking your life, your child's life, your family into your own hands. Just the first step, then the next step. And I always say to moms, don't look back. Don't worry about what you didn't know. Don't worry about the mistakes that you made. The past matters not. We've got right now and every single moment forward to do things differently. You know, we are on this earth to make mistakes. So don't worry about any of the past. Just be grateful you're here now. There's people like you who needed a range of vitamins and you created them. I've done a whole post on creation. We can do that as human beings. So never look back. Don't worry about what's been gone. And now we're here to like be a community together and share all the right information.
Yeah. So Catherine, I'm going to go straight because we've just had so many and I really want to give people the answers. If we look at the questions, group together the questions in order so we can start from. We've had so many questions on eczema and allergies, because I think a big fear for people as well, even if the young children you know, don't show any symptoms of eczema and allergies, there's a big fear around when we start weaning babies, when we start introducing foods, you know, potential. This is a big people. So I think the understanding people what causes more susceptible is in eczema. Yes.
A very interesting question. My first advice to the mother is your own health, your own gut health, your own microbiome, vaginal, oral, and gut. We have 3 microbiomes as a woman, is vitally important before you even conceive. So now you have a 3-year-old, 4-year-old, doesn't matter. But for mothers that are mothers-to-be, or our sisters, our nieces, people we know that are to have children, it's very important that in order for us to mitigate this modern-day intolerance and allergies thing, we need to start looking to ourselves. That would be my first port of call. Things that are already far down the line, your baby was born by emergency C-section, you were not well yourself, you had some form of infection, you struggled in pregnancy, potentially you've always had IBS or gut health. And the final thing that people don't understand is heavy metals. A woman is able from generation to pass mercury through the womb. Not many people know that. So some women have high levels of heavy metal toxicity before they've even consumed, and because they've done nothing wrong. Their mother had an aluminium filling. Their mother's mother was playing with mercury as a child. There was lead in the paint on the cots in the 50s, etc. This is why I teach about toxic load, because this build up from one generation to the next is what's affecting our children in this generation. Please don't blame yourself, and please don't worry about the little stuff, like do I wean him at 5 months or do I wean him at 7 months, etc. We have to understand this measure of toxic load in the body. And basically when I talk about toxic load, I just mean that the body is a massively beautiful detoxifying machine designed by God. There's no better body on this planet to rid ourselves of toxins, and it works from the minute that baby draws their first breath. But when we are exposed to vaccinations, whether you choose to do them or not is not the point of today, and whether you believe they're good or not is not the point of today, but they increase the toxic load of the child. Then we look at different prescription medications. Then the child potentially might have been in NICU or not. The mother's administered drugs during labor. There's pesticides and herbicides in our food. There is fluoride in our water. And I'm not saying all this to scare you, because you could live a beautiful life or never being aware of this. It's just for us mothers that are here together today, whereby that toxic load has just tipped over the balance and the body can't self-clean when toxic load gets too high. Then you decide when your beautiful child is 6 months old to give them a carrot, baby rice, whatever it is that you choose, and weaning is a whole nother story, maybe not for today. You realize that your child is coming out in hives, itching around the mouth, and getting eczema. It's only because that toxic load is so high that the body is under so much strain that detox pathways become clogged. So what's called the adrenal cortex, the functioning of the release of cortisone and adrenaline in the body becomes sluggish, and the body starts to become weak at detoxification. And we can remove some weight off of the body by choosing organic food, cooking at home, filtering our water, which is why when people sometimes, even my family, they're like, why do you bother with all this stuff? Like it's a lot. Because when you understand, when you're someone that's gone to the wrong side of toxic load, putting a filter on your water is like nothing. It's really not a problem. When you've always managed to be on the lower end of toxic load, and maybe you're kind of just sickly and a little bit weak, but you've never actually had a child that's been awake screaming for 6 weeks with itching skin that is breaking your husband, and breaking the constitution of that child's character, you will then do anything. So toxic load, to keep it short. And then another thing for people to understand is that the body is not designed to ever see wheat, dairy, eggs, fish as a toxin to the body. Yeah, it's food. If we were all starving and all there was is glyphosate-full wheat that's not organic, I mean, we're going to eat it. We don't want to die. So when the body becomes weak, it basically, the immune function of it becomes low and suppressed, and it basically can't tell the difference between a normal protein and a protein that's a protein that is accepted by the body like food. Not so I'm not explaining that very well, but basically, if you understand that when your body is so sluggish, you start to react to carrots, to strawberries, to things that you shouldn't otherwise react to, it is just a sign that that underlying toxic load needs to be addressed, and that there's absolutely something that you as a mother can do. It goes way deeper than that. My eczema course is like 7 hours of content, so it's very difficult to explain the hormones and the release of the adrenaline and the cortisone, and how cortisone cream that we are given suppresses a flare in the body. So it basically makes that ugly rash disappear. But that ugly rash is toxins. The skin is helping out the detox organs in the body to push toxins out, because our toxic load is unbearable for us, okay, or for the little one. So when you see those toxins coming out, your body is saying to you, help, I'm overtoxed, I need to release this burden from me. Modern medicine slaps some steroid on it, which works the same as cortisol, or a hormone that the body does to dampen down an over-immune response that the body's having, which is eczema. But those toxins are pushed back inside the body. Now, if you keep pushing toxins of a child back inside a body for 6 solid years, but everyone else is going, oh my word, Rachel, you've healed your son. His skin is beautiful. Yeah, thank you so much. You have no idea what's going on inside. And that then manifests in all sorts of other illnesses and diseases, both of the mind and the body, which is why it has never been more important that we realize that steroid cream is simply a slap on, so that you could look pretty, because the modern world likes that. Spray on some fake tan, do this, do that, and you look great, but inside you're like emotionally abused and traumatized. It's kind of the analogy. So I hope that gives people a little bit of insight without being too in depth, but without lacing over it, because it deserves some detail, if that makes sense.
You covered so much. I think for people to really have understanding, that's the first thing that people, they're really wanting to move forward on a journey. I need to know why, what to do. Covering so much there is amazing. And I always look at everything that you've sort of there. I just think when we bring it, one thing to consider is ago, lots of the chronic diseases now were very unheard of. There are a lot about the food that we're eating and the toxins that we're in. So what's coming into and what should be going out of the body in terms, these we need to focus on now, because the modern world that we live in, food that we're taking in, we need to make sure in and everything out that we don't.
Yeah, and that's Mighty Kids supplements, Rachel. That's why you're doing what you're doing, because when you have a body that's overburdened and you have the skin reacting in the way that eczema sufferers see, there is a very high chance that that high level of toxic load also leads to malabsorption, which means that in the first place, you're probably not feeding your children nutrient-dense enough foods. Now, you know that. We've talked. The amount of work you have to put in this modern world, you have to be hiding desiccated liver in their food. You have to be not force feeding them, encouraging them to eat ghee, tallow, lots of good fats. But unfortunately, maybe, we have to, as mothers, know where and with what to supplement and at what times. because it's not enough. If you're living in England and you're not giving your kids vitamin D, you're going to be in trouble. So this is another thing that we're not taught enough about, how to supplement and how to support our kids, and it does support eczema. Don't go and blindly buy supplements. Speak to Rachel, speak to myself, and understand how you work with supplements in light of a supplement, nothing more, a supplement for a rich, nutrient-dense diet.
Yeah, I love how you mentioned vitamin D, because I think that on our journey, it's so important to us, because when we live in England, we do not get the sun on our skin, sorry. And it's often, it comes around to this time of year and people panic and think, oh no, flu season is here for our children. But for me, I always think, flu season, is that season? And I said that quite a lot, but when we really try to do basics and make sense of things, we, as you said, what's coming into the body and those are the basics of it. So yeah, absolutely. So I'm just, you did on nutrition. If it's okay, because we've had going off on a different topic really, but we do have so many questions. This is very difficult to understand because of when you go into a supermarket, marketed, the products that we are told are healthy, good for us. People really need the around healthy fats and the importance of fats. So we have so many questions. Oh gosh, I'm using this oil because I'm really healthy, this seed oil or this vegetable, because the understanding is there. I think for so many years we were told that high fats are not helping us, and we should avoid them. But the true raw materials of what our bodies are made of, what we need, they come from the products. So yeah, if you could just please clarify a little bit more about the fats and the bad.
I will do. Basically, if you think back, I always used to see my grandmother with beautiful, rich yellow butter. And at the time, margarine was huge when I was in the high school. And I was like, she doesn't know what she's doing. And she used to say to me, why would you eat this stuff? Before that, there was lard in the pantry. Our grandmothers used to roast potatoes using fat and lard. And then they used to keep that lard and use it again and again and again. It was only, and I don't know how long ago it was, but when people decided that they could make money out of genetically modifying seed oils using processing of oils like rapeseed, sunflower, canola, and the list goes on, to create a much cheaper version of fat or fuel that, by the way, is used to service machinery and to fuel heavy metal vehicles and big carbon, what do you call those big farming machines and stuff. They're basically very, very, very toxic oils, and they create oxidative stress in the body due to the fact that they are so highly processed. So a seed oil is not what we call bioavailable to our body. But what has happened is that around seed oils, there are massive amounts of money for marketing. This is heart health healthy, this contains these omegas, and we were, as a nation, as a country, as a world, drawn away from fats that are produced by God, basically, for humans to survive, like butter, like ghee, like lard, like tallow, like fat from avocados. And so basically, if you know a little bit enough about the way in which we're being steered as a population, as a people, away from things that are good for us and towards things that are cheaper and more profitable, I suppose the same we could say for medicines and big pharma, then you will understand that it's more of a massive marketing campaign. And just because something is cheaper or is more readily available or is marketed to you, I always say to my children, if something's marketed to you, then be a little bit concerned. But without going down that whole rabbit hole, the point is that these seed oils are not bioavailable to the body. So you need to be replacing them with things like butter, ghee, tallow, coconut oil, anything that is naturally available in nature. Okay. And people would say, but sunflower seeds and canola are. Yes, but it is high levels of processing that brings that seed, that oil, out of a tiny, tiny, tiny little seed. You can't go and pick up a sunflower seed and create 3 liters of oil. So just think a little bit about it, the food that you're consuming and eating being the most close to unprocessed to nature as you possibly can, of animal origin that has been well cared for, organic, grass-fed preferably, a good balance of really beautiful greens, a huge amount of herbs. Please buy organic or non-irradiated herbs, because what they do now to keep costs down is they irradiate the herbs, which means that they literally heat treat and I don't know how to describe it, but it creates a very high level of toxic load in a person if you're not buying dry herbs that are non-irrigated or organic. So we have to know how to be forensic as moms when we shop. The easiest thing to stop doing is buying anything in a box, a bag, or a packet, I would say, and try and cook at home. Feng Shui says that when the mother stands at the hob, ancient Chinese belief, practice wisdom from mother to daughter. When the mother stands at the hob in the kitchen and cooks something for her family, not only does she become like wealthier in chi, life force energy, but they actually believe that it brings more money into the family in whichever way the family earns money. Please try and cook. You have to cook good food to live, and it's really, really has a massive impact on your children when they see you cook. They understand the power of herbs and spices and good fats and butter on beautiful organic sourdough bread. Your food doesn't have to be awful. You can eat burgers. You can eat all these beautiful things. Just make them yourselves in a healthy way.
Yeah, that's amazing. I just think, as you say, the further back to basics, go back to nature, surely that's where the answers are. So yeah, amazing. So this will just lead nicely on to the questions around dairy. We've had so many questions. There is so much confusion as well in the milk industry. The plant juices, raw milk, iced milk. So if you, lots of people are asking, we're terrified of dairy causing a problem, understanding the difference between iced milk and raw milk, and plant milk, which are turning to the plant drinks because promoted as healthy. So yeah, if you could.
Yeah, brilliant question. Plant milks are another example of rapeseed and canola oil. They are beautifully marketed with tons of marketing budget and money behind them. Can I just tell you that if you want to know how they make oat milk, they take oats, which, by the way, I would say if you have an eczema suffering child, get rid of oatmeal, oats, organic, gluten-free, I don't care, get rid of them in your diet. Oats are farmed with the highest levels of glyphosate, okay? So even organic oats that are only generationally young organic, you are putting yourself at risk for very high levels of glyphosate. Okay, if you're not buying organic oats, it's just one thing I would say to get rid of. Yes, and oats that are not gluten-free on the bag contain huge amounts of gluten. When they take those oats, not organic and not gluten-free, because those are the cheapest version, and they soak them with water that is highly unlikely to be filtered, so probably containing tap water, heavy metals, fluorides, all the things that are in our tap water. They soak those two things together until they get a really mucky, ucky, watery, kind of milky water. And they strain it through like a cloth, and then they whip it with rapeseed oil. So I can't understand why anyone would want to put that in their coffee or their tea. If I pushed that aside and no one else felt that that was weird, I just want to tell you that anything that's spelled with an MYLK, any milk that is not from dairy origin is not milk. Get rid of it. We were not made to drink milk in that capacity. So move on. Milk from a cow is great for our bodies and for our bones and for our teeth. If you go onto a farm and you milk that cow and you drink what's called raw milk, unpasteurized milk, you can get it in England from a couple of brands. We can tag them later. Hook and Son, Utterly Fresh, some beautiful places. Most people that can't tolerate normal dairy will be able to tolerate raw milk. I included in a part of our family's diet, we have raw butter, raw milk, raw cream, raw yogurt, because it is so full of dynamic microorganisms for our gut, okay? If you are just starting, you don't understand enough to go straight onto raw milk. Anything that is pasteurized by way of yogurt, even cheeses and milk, avoid if you suffer from eczema, because that pasteurization process that has been done to keep us safe from harmful bacteria, etc., kills anything that is the point of drinking milk in the first place. People would say that there's vitamin D and there's calcium, but if you're not drinking organic milk, you're getting a lot of hormones from cows. And dairy is one protein that when pasteurized, the body does react and inflame to. So if you're trying to bring down a flare or manage eczema, cut all dairy out of your life. Don't substitute with plant milks. You can look at coconut milk, coconut cream, coconut water. That is a suitable substitute. But any of the other milks that are made with almonds, you really are lifting yourself up to high levels of other kind of pesticides and herbicides. And oat milk is probably the worst of them all. And most of them contain these seed oils I've just talked about now. So milk is a little bit of a journey. It's a journey to raw milk. Most people would be horrified if they knew that you drank milk straight from a cow without pasteurizing it. It's a mindset thing. A lot about what we teach is a mindset thing. You have to learn to unlearn what you've been taught on the TV and the news and all the adverts and all that kind of stuff. But I would say if your child is suffering dairy, wheat, eggs, fish, and there's some kind of like strange outliers, sometimes citrusy fruits, but avoid anything that the child is currently intolerant to for 6 months, up to a year, up to 2 years in extreme cases, because of what I explained when we started. We want to remove any burden off of that child's body so that they can become resilient in the way that they were born and designed by God. And once your resilience is up, you could be in a car crash and be fine again in 6 months. You can have a deep emotional trauma and lose someone close to you, and you can bounce back. You can get scared and go into fight or flight 9 or 10 times a day based on different things that happen to you in the world, and you recover. So what we want in our children and in ourselves is not perfection. We want resilience. So if you remove all the intolerances and the things that are causing the body stress, and we get them back to resilience, then they can eat a pizza at their best friend's party next year and have a small little flare but bounce back. When they are in a crisis or in what we call chronic stages of eczema, you have to be brutally strict, and milk is one that has to go. If you want to learn more about raw milk, you can contact me directly.
Yes, thank you. That's amazing. And you're also the to give information, but I've read it many times that if raw milk is or not an option for reason, the second nutritious alternative, broth.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And that's why I founded Ossa Organic. It was exactly what you've done with Mighty Kids supplements. It was like, hold on a minute, this doesn't exist. No one's going to do it the way that I want, and so I'm going to do it myself. And bone broth for children struggling with eczema is a beautiful part of their diet. You can cook rice in it. You can broil sausages in it. You can steam it, evaporate it down into like a little paste and mix it into a sweet potato mash or some kind of vegetable puree or carrot puree or even with avocado or something. But broth is full of glycine, amino acids, and collagen, which helps to heal the digestive tract. And I suppose we haven't talked enough about gut health and eczema, but people think that gut health is the only key to eczema. You can fix your gut health. You can be going to the toilet and you can have a strong gut lining. You can heal leaky gut. You can heal IBS. But if you haven't looked at toxic load in the body, you will still suffer. And that's why people are finding that they are really struggling to heal fully. And that's why I teach my 3 pillars mastermind, because unless you've healed your gut, the first pillar, gut health, you've looked at your toxic load, the second pillar, toxic load, and you've looked at your emotional body, what I call trauma load, the energy of the emotions that are bogging you down. Some children have traumatic births. They themselves emotionally struggle from that. A chiropractor can realign the back of the neck and emotion will leave. That's a story for a whole nother day, but you could do body work on a child in the form of chiropractic work, osteopathic work, myofascial release, and you can really help a child to release trapped emotion that you or they don't even know that they have. But those 3 pillars really do go hand in hand when it comes to healing. And bone broth fits in the first one, which is gut health, good fats, the right supplements, bone broth, and nutrient-dense food. I follow Weston A. Price. I know you and I eat quite similarly. We give our kids similar things. It's a huge investment to feed children the way that you and I do. But when you've been to hell and come back, it's not hard at all, isn't it? It's just not hard.
Yeah, I think what I would love to hear from you, and I really try to ways around this with people, because I've been on the journey with my children, and at the very beginning of my journey, it's nearly now, sorry, now, very beginning of my journey, I have all the information. So we followed all the normal foods, etc. And then we started to see the symptoms. So we came against the problem that we have children who have been exposed and the product foods available in the world. Now, with my very youngest, right from the beginning, extremely back to basics. We gave them the foods that we would know we have, etc. But it's very difficult when you have a child who is all foods that you don't want them to eat, to find ways to convert them and to introduce foods that you would like to eat if you've done the learning along the way. I would love if you have any practical tips for people who are midway into the journey, live in the modern world, all the modern foods, and now they think, oh crikey, we need to work on nutrition, we need to things, but they won't accept it. you have any practical tips for people?
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I just want to say a lot of people are saying the connection keeps slipping. I keep hearing your every third word of yours. Are you hearing me clearly?
Oh, okay. I can hear you quite clearly, actually. Yes.
Okay, maybe it's something on your side. All right, just keep letting us know if the connection is breaking at certain points for both of us. I'm imagining it's hard to listen. Yeah, for me, Rachel's connection is breaking slightly, but I don't know if my connection is also breaking. But I'm on Wi-Fi, but I'm sure you're the same. Connection keeps breaking, and yeah. Okay, we will carry on. And afterwards, maybe what we'll do, Rachel, is we will put the captions up so people can listen.
Yeah.
Firstly, eaters, children that are a little bit further down the line and they haven't been encouraged to have a diverse palate from early on is a very, very tricky one. So what you need to understand is that from the minute that child comes into this world, they know more than you could ever imagine. So what I want you to know is that your baby is there for you to teach. Okay, so instead of telling or trying to like coerce or push or whatever, the best way for a child to heal and eat more is actually that you just explain to them, look, you see how your skin's been like this is what's happening, this is how we're going to fix it. If you work with me and we work together as a team, you try one thing new every day, you will feel better, you will sleep better. So explain to them the reward of making this difficult change. Explain to them the outcome. You won't be tired. You'll be able to think better at school. You'll feel better in yourself. So that's what I've had to do with my kids as they get older. Give them a little bit of freedom where they need it. So you can't eat yogurt. You can't have ice cream at the party because you know that your eczema is going to flare. Oh, wow, mommy, I want the ice cream. Do you know what? I love you and I trust you. And if you feel like you want that ice cream today, have it. And then let's see how you feel tomorrow. And 9 times out of 10, my child has eaten more ice cream than I could ever have coped with. And I don't handle it well. And now that I've also got a 9-year-old and he's like, Mommy, gosh, when it comes to food, you are, and I'm like, I know, but I'm building you for the rest of your life. It's important to note, I teach it in my mastermind, that ages 0 to 7 are the foundation years for a child in terms of nutrition. It affects the way that their teeth come through. It affects the alignment of the teeth and the jaw, okay? You can actually make sure that your children have straight teeth if you are feeding them nutrient-dense foods. If you want to write this book down, it's called Nourishing Traditions by Sally Fallon Morell and Dr. Thomas Cowan. It is my Bible. I have one next to my desk. It's got notes in it from 2013 when my first son was born. The nutrient density of our child's diet between 0 to 7 years. So that means that if you feed your child everything in life that is good for them between those years, and at 7 they just live on what they want to live on, which I don't advise, but if that became the case, your child would be good. So try and explain and encourage. Use different ways to cook fun foods that are seen by them as cool. You can use grass-fed mince, pan fry, hand make some burgers with organic dried herbs, tons of rock salt for electrolytes, and a little bit of ghee. Mix up a beautiful batch, pan fry little patties, and put them on a brioche. We get organic brioche buns in Dubai, which I don't love, but they're organic, and I make my kid this thick, rich, grass-fed burger, and I butter the bun with raw butter. And he goes, yeah, burgers for dinner. So you can make what's called, you can do fried chicken using coconut flour, egg, and cover your chicken and make fried chicken. So make fun foods in a healthy way. You can make beautiful, milkshakes using coconut cream and coconut milk. You can cook, you can bake. So explaining, educating, and giving your children the solution, the reward for changing the way that they eat or think, and then letting them experiment, eat that ice cream at the party just today, be bent over double or be covered in eczema, be itching, be etc., and then be able to say, okay, I understand now. There's repercussions to bad decisions and there's rewards to good decisions, and let them have a little bit of freedom. It's much more difficult if you're starting the journey after, say, age 5, but up to age 5, you can really coerce, you can support, and you can help, and there's lots of different ways to do that. And weaning is another very, very interesting one. Like, we probably don't have the time for it now, but again, don't go and listen to feeding your baby wheat germ and cereal and all this stuff. It's not right at all. If you're weaning your child, avocado, mashed banana, sweet potato, vegetables and fruits and fats, really, in its most natural form. I just used to walk around with 1 or 2 avocados in my handbag when I was on the go, so if they were hungry. And I also I don't want to go into it now, but I also firmly believe in salt, rock salt, pink Himalayan rock salt or Celtic salt, from a young age so that that child actually gets electrolytes through salt. Obviously, iodized salt, a complete no-no. But food is tricky, and fussy eaters are tricky. Seek help. You can reach out to myself if you want for a little bit more support than that. But it's also got a lot to do with the emotional body, because 0 to 7, 7 to 14, 14 to 28 are all different parts of the emergence of the character and the constitution of the child. So until a child has their adult teeth, it's very difficult for them to play team sports, which is why I always laugh, and I laugh at myself because I had my first son in a football team at 2 years old and wondering why I didn't want to participate. All in good time. Even the UK schooling system puts our kids in school sitting at desks at 4 years old. Until the child has received, until all their milk teeth have fallen out, they're not able sometimes to hold a pen or to concentrate or to kick a ball to another team member. These are things that we as moms should be being taught, but we're not.
So could I just go back to the kind of middle stage? So with children, we have control over the diet and nutrition. We can really offer a lot of support. For expecting mums, we can really work on the nutrition ourselves to try and help.
I'm going to plug my phone in. Sorry, it's going a bit flat.
Now, so for people who have, like yourself, your own journey, who have all how do we support a young baby when nutrition doesn't come into things?
So, I mean, I don't like saying this, but I'm going to say it because it's important. And actually, one of my mastermind clients just joined, and we've been talking a lot to each other about, telling people things that they sometimes don't want to hear. Like, the birth of the baby matters. If you can, do everything in life to prepare for birth like you would for your wedding or any big occasion. You want to try and have your baby naturally. It affects yourself as a mother. It affects the microbiome of the child. It affects the emotional well-being of the child. It affects like the auric energy, the strength of the child. It affects their connection to God. It really affects everything. I'm not saying that cesarean section babies have anything wrong with them. I've got two emergency cesarean sections. But it's a good place to start, is treating that birth with the care, investing money in a doula. That kind of stuff is vitally important for your child and for their well-being. After that comes breastfeeding. It's the hardest thing in the world to feed. For some people, they latch and on naturally, and they just feed. For other women, they struggle for ages. Seek help. Put aside money to seek help. Other women, we are there to support you. WhatsApp me and say, oh my soul, I can't feed my child. It's killing me. What can I do? We are here to help each other and support. You're made to feed your baby. And what's so fascinating is that when Thomas, my middle son, had his rife eczema, he was being exclusively breastfed. So everything that I teach mothers, I did myself. I cut out all the stuff that was bearing on his system. I went and looked at my heavy metal. I had such high levels of mercury in my body. I did not have any idea until I had a wound on the back of my leg after Thomas was a little bit older that wouldn't heal. So for the third baby, I got rid of all my heavy metals, just doing simple things. Didn't cost a lot of money, sauna and other things I can teach. But when you are feeding your child through your breast, everything that you eat goes into that baby. So I know doctors will say, oh, have 3 glasses of wine, oh, do this, oh, do that, oh, do whatever. I had a couple of glasses of wine here and there and whatever, but if you're going to go and eat dairy, eggs, and all that stuff, it's going to go straight through the protein of your milk into that baby, and it's going to affect that child. So the easiest way to make a child better is for you yourself to clean yourself up and then breastfeed them. That's what I did with Thomas. And then the eczema was gone. If you cannot feed at all, look at alternative formulas. Please do not feed with soy formula. Anything that is soy-based is genetically modified. I'm going to repeat that. Anything that is soy-based is genetically modified. Tofu, soy sauce. And I'm not saying never have soy sauce with your sushi again, but I am saying don't eat big hunks of tofu, and please don't put your child on soy formula. That was the beginning of my difficulty as a human. I was fed on soy formula once I weaned off my mom's breast at 6 months for 2 years, and I swelled up from the genetically modified element of the formula, and I was sick ever since until I got onto my journey. I'll be 40 in November, and I started to learn when I was 18 how to undo all of this. And then when it comes to weaning the baby, I would highly recommend that you look at Nourishing Traditions, this book I recommended early, because I can't go into all of it here. but it is really, source is very, very important. I did a reel a few days about, if you live in England, there's really actually no excuse to grow some vegetables, even if you have a 2x2 like we did. I didn't know how to do it, but now that I'm learning to grow vegetables in the desert, I'm like, gee, I was an idiot. In England, I could have grown a lot of stuff. Source your children's food, even if you can't afford to buy a lot of organic. Look at what's called the dirty dozen. These are 12 things that are non-negotiable. These things you buy organic or you don't eat them. And everything else with thick skins like watermelon, like papaya, less thick, watermelon, banana, avocado, don't need to worry about organic, just good sourcing, because they've got the thick skin that we peel off and chuck that will harbor most of the pesticides and help protect the actual fruit that we want to eat. So look at the dirty dozen, source the right food. If your kid doesn't have a dairy intolerance, raw milk is hugely healing for them. Such a huge amount of good fats, half an avocado a day. Good fats are what fuels the brain. And the most important part as a mother, when your child is growing, is to fuel the brain, the mental development of that child. The brain is fed, the synapses need to be nourished so that they fire fast. That's all good fat. Don't be afraid of fat. Remove processed foods. If you need to use those pouches or all that kind of stuff, do it with discernment and with the understanding and the awareness that it's probably not the best thing, long run and forever. And tune in. This is what I teach in my mastermind. You know, people always say, oh, Catherine, but my child, what must I do? I'm like, I can give you some practical advice, but I want to tell every mother this. You are the mother that child chose, okay? Because of your instinct, your constitution, your being, your soul. So you need to learn how to know yourself, connect with your body, and connect with your gut instinct. It's the first week I teach on my mastermind. When you know yourself as a mother, I teach my mastermind students kinesiology, basic kinesiology, so that you can understand decisions that you make for your children. Should I vaccinate my child or shouldn't I? I have this sick feeling that if I give my child this Calpol, it's not going to work. I've got a sick feeling that I shouldn't be, but all the time we look outside of ourselves for information and we make mistakes and the children suffer. That doesn't mean in a time of trauma you don't go to an A&E trauma doctor and say, help, you know, the kid's cuts leg. But I'm saying in the little day-to-day decisions, I sat next to a gastroenterologist and at a summit where I won an award with all doctors. And I was like, imposter syndrome of notes. I was like, I said to my husband, I'm going to leave before they announce the awards because I'm not a doctor. I don't have any training. You'll see other people on Instagram. I've got this nutrition certificate and I've got this 3-day course. Like, I have none of that. I have 18 to 40 of life experience where I have case study after case study after case study that I've proven this works. But what I'm saying is this guy said, as a gastroenterologist, if patients, mothers, women, parents, fathers knew themselves and trusted their own instincts and their decisions for the little bits of ill health, the fevers, the small moments, they learned how to use homeopathy, they learned food as medicine, they would never end up being a patient of mine. Instead, we don't listen, we look outside of ourselves, we get kid, we know we're making the wrong decisions. Someone tells us to let the baby scream, but all we want to do is hold them. We don't listen to ourselves. That's how we're getting sicker and sicker and sicker. So I think from what you can see in a talk like this is that, yes, eczema has some practical ways to heal it, but allopathic medicine will tell you take this pill tomorrow, my darling, and everything will be fine. I'm here to tell you, you got to look at yourself as a mother, your traumas, your triggers, your pain, your own condition in your own body, how you're able to read, how do you trust yourself, how do you trust your husband, how does your husband trust you, how do you view the world, how are you teaching your children, how do they feel in you, how safe and secure do you feel in your environment, how clean is your home, you know, all of these things are, it seems very overwhelming to listen to all of this now, but the very, very kind of like starting point would be to say, I'm not weaning my kid, Mr. Doctor Man, on this box of weird grain from I don't know where. I'll be giving them this avocado and banana to start. And that will be your first act of, not defiance, of belief in your own self as a mom. Because we have to go down so many times. I found myself with my third son. He was 5 years after my second son. So I've been in this eczema thing for a while. Again, in the office of a dermatologist. Why was I sitting there? I thought, why am I paying this guy £100? He told me the same as every other dermatologist, but we lose our footing along the way and we get scared, which is why we need more community. You know, that it's not working. I just want to lean to the steroid. I want to smother them in steroid and make it all go away, you know. And that's where we find ourselves going back and bashing ourselves head against the wall. But as moms, we have to be have to have so many experiences, like you were saying with your firstborn, where you go back and you realize this way doesn't work, this way doesn't work, this way doesn't work, that you actually realize I know the way, and I'm going to pull in the right people to help me along that course, through the weaning, through the breastfeeding, through the birth, through the teething, through the growing, through the emotional development, through the pain, you and I have 9-year-olds. We're 9 years in. We're not even that far in, but we're 9 years, say, more than a newborn. But every little thing adds up. So empower yourself, ask questions, non-processed foods, look at the toxic load of the child, assess your home. These are all the things I teach. Some people are extremely ill because of the air and the conditions inside of their home. You could have mold in your bathroom that you've just thought, oh, well, it doesn't matter. A child under severe mold toxicity or strain from mold toxicity will have massive bouts of eczema that will be extremely difficult, if you listen to everything that I do, to ever get rid of, unless you removed mold. Mold is like kryptonite to adults, let alone to children. So you have to look at the 4 walls in which you live, where you're sleeping. All that kind of stuff plays a role. And this is the rabbit hole that you go down. Like eczema, I think, is the greatest gift to a mother. Because I know a lot of you, I do it, I don't know if you were doing it. You look around and you go, why? Why has my child got eczema? Look, and everyone else that has baby has the most beautiful skin. And you're just like, there's shame. There's a lot of shame when it comes to eczema. So when I tell you I can't really explain how opening the box of eczema down this path, moving away from steroids, turning away from all the conventional support, will transform you as a mother, will transform your marriage, will transform your family, and will transform your child. Oh, you have no idea. You don't even know your child. You don't even know your child until they've lifted this monkey off of their back.
Yeah, amazing. And I love how you talk about how the journey is a gift. Something that really helped me at the very my journey with my children, because I was suffering probably more than the children. Yeah. You know, I felt the loss of, I just didn't know where to turn. When I really came back to basics with myself, the affirmations that I told myself were a real turning point. So I started to tell myself every day, I'm so grateful, my children are happy and healthy, and the guidance is coming to me. Every day when I told myself that, the anxiety lessened in myself.
Yes.
Find the guidance. And I think people know that the guidance is available. It's something they can reach out and find. They can start the journey, which is this is the courses. Perhaps if we can go into now the courses that you run, and what support is available, what guidance is available for people who are really struggling.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's so funny that everyone's chiming in. I want to just add to my last point, and I'll tell you why I'm going to tell you before I close with the courses. Shame is the lowest vibrating emotion. And when we as mothers are filled with shame, it does the opposite of what you've just said, Rachel. It weakens our ability to lead. We don't need to lead. The husband leads. We create. That's what we as women do. The creation of a child is the epitome of our ability to create. But anything you want to do at work, if you want to start a business, anything you want to do comes with this creation. Shame flattens all of that down, which is why through motherhood we feel like we can't do anything and we're useless and we're never going to be the same again. It's the complete opposite. If you use everything that's caused you pain up to this moment, you listen to me and I tell you, this is the beginning of the transformation of you. You will then be able to lift that shame and create anything that you want. That's for down the line. The mothers need a lot of emotional support going through eczema. And 9 times out of 10, if I have an early on consult with a mom, I'll actually say to her, let me start with you. Because when the mother is carrying a lot of trauma, baggage, and emotion, that also impacts the child. Sometimes we just get the weight off of the child so that they can be a little bit okay. And then we fix the mother in order to be strong for the child. It's that same thing. Like if you don't fill your own cup, the child will always suffer. The mother needs to be in the position like you did to be saying, I get stronger. I thank you for the guidance every day. Thank you for telling me what to do with my child. Thank you for the healing. Thank you for the transformation. Thank you for everything I'm learning. Thank you for the pain that has got me to this point. I'm so grateful. I could now look at my cesarean sections and be like, thank you, God. I didn't understand at the time. I hated everything. I couldn't cope. I had post-traumatic stress after my second cesarean. Now I have such joy because of the place it's brought me to. So if you want to learn, because Sam shared that reel, and I mean, I think Sam was like, oh my word, you know, Sam is like doing the most amazing stuff. For those of you that don't know Sam Fairs, She was on TV in the UK, and I don't know. I mean, you can learn all about her. She's amazing. She's in one of the eczema reels on our post. But she suffered, and she came to see me through a friend in Dubai. She was actually in Dubai. I said, I'll do a consult with you on the phone. And she was like, no, I'm going to come to see you. And I was like, okay. She came to my house. We were together for like 12 hours. She got there at 10 in the morning, and she left at 10 o'clock that night. And we fed Edward and walked him, and the kids played and whatever. But the point is that it's such a huge amount of content to learn. And since she's been so vulnerable and shared in the amazing way that she's done, so many people have reached out. So if you want to learn at a very base level, you can come and join my 3-week course. It's an hour to 90 minutes each week, starting next week, probably on a Wednesday, and all the details will come, and it'll be somewhere between, I don't know, 40 to 90 pounds or something like that. You'll get discounts through Fierce Nature. Rachael, I don't know if you want to offer a code for Mighty Supplements for anyone that joins that course. This will give you everything I've talked about today in a little bit more detail without it being overwhelming and panic making. The key to what I teach is awareness. I don't want you to like stop watching this live and be like, I'm useless, I don't know anything, and then just like shut down, because a woman do that. I don't know where to start, so I'll just carry on how I am. So this course will break it down enough for you that you could start making small changes. Then outside of that, I have a pre-recorded eczema course, but now that I've worked with so many people one-to-one, and I've been doing a lot of voice noting and stuff since Sam shared, which is probably also why my voice has taken a bit of strain. Courses, eczema is a moving feast. It's very individual. So you might do 7 hours of that course and find that you actually needed 7 hours for me to point things. Because as I said, if you as a mother have suffered, how was your pregnancy? What was your emotional capacity? All these things we need to look at. So you could work with me one-to-one. Or otherwise, there's my 3 Pillars Mastermind, which at the moment is closed and full, but it's closing soon. I've been working with these women for a long time, 9 months or so, and men, by the way. They're men in my mastermind. So please, if you want to join as a couple, there's a couple that are just like, I've never seen anything like it. The mastermind is the transformation. This is like, it's 52 weeks, an hour a week, where you just show up each and every single week, and I drip feed every single bit of information that you could ever want to know about anything. 12 weeks on gut health, 12 weeks on toxic load, 12 weeks on trauma load, and in the closing 12 weeks, we do very high level stuff. I kind of go off individually with the people in the mastermind. So if you want to start a business, if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to heal from birth trauma, if you want to strengthen your marriage, if you want to find yourself come closer to God, find more purpose or meaning in your life, if you've been living with low-level pain around an issue, something that happened when you were a child, if there's trauma within your marriage, but you know you want to fix it, all those kind of things. Once you've cleared trauma and toxic load and gut health, once you've done the first 3 pillars, that 4th quarter, you are a completely different person. You can't heal pain and angst and agony that's at a very deep-seated level if you've got IBS and you bent over double and you're not going to the toilet every day. So it's kind of like it works in succession. It's very transformative, and I've just finished my pilot year, my first ever year. As I said, we're 9 months in. We're closing at the end of November, and it's been an absolute gift for me to share with people in that way. It's not overwhelming. You don't have to do any work yourself. If I told you to learn everything that I've slightly touched on in this last hour, it would take you like me. I mean, 18 to 40. I don't even know how many years that is, 30 something, 32 years or something. No, 22 years, yeah, nearly like a long time, a long time. So yeah, that's kind of what's available at the moment. I'm always kind of, I'm dynamic, so you can just reach out, yeah.
So all the support, eczema and allergies, is people can come to your website. Is that right?
The best place for me right now is actually through my personal Instagram, and you can send a DM, or otherwise through Kinetic Blueprint, which is the company through which I teach. The email address is hello@thekineticblueprint.com, and you can send anything that you'd like there. If you want, it's the long form way of getting to me, but you can book a 20-minute free consultation with me through the bio in my Instagram, through my bio. But I only work that for a very short number of hours on a Wednesday, so it could be quite a while. But if there's a gap, by all means book it. And I won't be working tomorrow, obviously, because I'm here in Crete. Or just I'm quite good on my DMs in Instagram for now. So, you know, don't feel shy to share. If you're sitting with any shame around anything in your life, remember what I said. It's the lowest vibration, and it impacts your ability to create as a woman, which means it's impacting everything that you were born to do. So you got to get rid of it. And people harbor shame, even with their best friends. They harbor shame around things they've done. They harbor shame around things that happen in their marriage. I mean, once I've started to talking to people, I'm like, nothing shocks me. Nothing ever will. There's nothing that can't be fixed. There's nothing that anyone does to hurt anyone else purposely unless there's pure evil. It all comes from a place of that other person's pain. And so we learn how to deal with all that beautiful stuff. And it opens up such a new world for everyone. It strengthens the way that it changes and transforms marriages, relationships, parenting, how you are as a mother, and how you love yourself is like so beautiful. And then eczema becomes easy and all these things. But basically today, if you've joined because of eczema, you can now say thank you to that eczema for bringing you down this new path, you know, because it'll be the best things you'll ever discover as a result of that pain. Yeah. And practical things to start. I mean, I don't want to go on and on and on, but you can just listen what I said about the food, listen what I said about toxic load, looking at where your child's sleeping, making sure they're not exposed to blue light, they're not sleeping next to, you know, electronics. You do a panel of blood work and assess their supplements. Vitamin D, get them on vitamin D yesterday. Whole foods, lots of good fats. Remove anything that they are remotely intolerant to, and then come and join the eczema course, and there'll be more details there. That's the last thing I did want to talk about. Sorry, Rachel. People come to me and say, what emollient must I put on my skin? You're like, I don't actually care what you, don't put petroleum-based stuff on your skin like the doctors tell you, Cetaphil, all these stupid Eucerin or whatever they're called, I don't even know. But what you put on your skin matters, is so insignificant to the problem of eczema. Do you know what I mean? It really is. Like, it's like sticking a Band-Aid on a broken open wound and not addressing the cause. So that's what we're doing on this course. In the interim, obviously, I recommend tallow from my company, Fierce Nature, because it's full of vitamins and minerals for the skin. But the point I want to get across to close is how you're treating the skin topically is like the absolute last of your worries. We want to get down to that core, fix it from the absolute core of the problem, the hormones, the nutritional malabsorption, the deficiencies in the body, the imbalance, the weakness, the overload of toxins. Then you won't need to be putting anything on your kid's skin, except, you know, like a moisture. I don't know. We'll talk about all that in the course. But yeah, thank you so much.
Lots of questions. People find that they get the steroid cream from the doctors, and that will give them the temporary relief. It will help with the itching. It will help with the outburst, and they want to give something, even though they feel this is not the long-term option. They don't have another option. Now, how can we support the skin as an alternative to the steroid cream?
If your child is flaring, you have to almost like stop and focus on managing that flare, okay? The doctors would always say manage a flare with steroids and cortisone cream. Now, I'm not saying that now today you're going to throw all your steroid in the bin. I did that, but everyone is different, okay? If you feel out of control as a mother and you can't manage a flare yourself, and I can't go into it now, I'll teach you in the course how to manage a flare holistically, what to bath your child in, how to draw toxins out, weeping skin, dry skin, cracking skin, what water to put on your child's skin, what cream to use, if any, and when. But if for now, say until you start the course next week, and you want to just manage with a steroid, please just remember that use the tiniest bit that you could ever in your life use, ever. Wash your hands straight afterwards for you yourself, because you will absorb that steroid as well. And be aware and conscious when you use steroid cream. Don't do it unconsciously. If you make the conscious choice to manage it because emotionally you need it and you feel the child needs it and they need to sleep and for the next week until we meet again, then do that. And I'll give you more interim measures as to how to cope so that the flare doesn't happen. But remembering what I said, you are pushing and suppressing the expression of those toxins back inside. So you will pay the price down the line in other ways. But I don't want you stressing out because I don't have the time now to tell you exactly what to do. There are holistic ways to do it. I'm going to be giving a whole range of support, but do it knowing that when you suppress a toxin back into the body, it's got to go somewhere, and it does have a knock-on effect. But don't hate yourself for it either, please. I don't want anyone, You know, if you're going to use steroid to monitor and manage and you're in a very, very, very difficult place, then do that until you have more information, and do it with love and do it with care and respect for yourself and for that decision and for the child.
Yes, amazing. Thank you. And just we didn't touch much on allergies and asthma, etc., which is a big childhood issue also. Your view on antihistamines, because from my kind of passion into nutrition and vitamins and giving the body everything that it needs, that the natural antihistamines can be found. I mean, I believe that vitamin C is the most powerful vitamin available. Could you just speak a little bit about the antihistamines, the pharmaceutical versions that children are given for hay fever, asthma, these kind of allergies on the...
An antihistamine will knock a child out. We all know that. It doesn't sound right to me. I used antihistamine a couple of times. My oldest son will be 10 in November, so maybe 4 times in those 10 years. When I was in this out of my emotional self, as I said, I wasn't strong in myself, panicked, freaking out. My son had a big flare when we went to South Africa. They had him on that Ventolin mask thing and on this antihistamine syrup. And I think I gave it to him once, and because I've always been connected to my gut instinct, I nearly vomited. I was like, this is not what I need to be doing. And that's when I came across homeopathy. Through my school, Kinetic Blueprint, we sell these homeopathic kits. It's changed my life. It's called the Blue Box, and it's got antihistamine remedy in there that is homeopathy. I touch a lot on homeopathy in my mastermind. I do a full hour on it. But it works with the frequency of the body. And from everything from bee stings, all the way through to eczema flares, allergies. I mean, I've used this antihistamine for 10 years without fail on me, myself, and my husband, and I cannot recommend homeopathy enough. I want people to realize at the end of, I've said to my people on my personal channel that I'll do a homeopathy course, not because I'm a homeopath again, I have no qualifications, but because I'm a mom who uses homeopathy, and I'll teach you how to do that. It's not rocket science at all. I use it for everything. I use it for deworming. I use it for fever. I use it for pain. I use it for constipation. I use it for immune support, and I use it for antihistamine. So that would be my answer. If you do see a homeopath or know a homeopath, or if you want to get one of these blue boxes, I don't have mine with me now. I'll travel with the individual remedies. You'll get to, like, when you open up your instinct, you'll get connected to your homeopathic box. I just know. I go into that box, I'm like, this one needs this one needs that. We don't use it often, but when we need it, that's our go-to. Like, my first port of medical support in my house is homeopathy through my kits. And then even in birth, I used homeopathy. Postpartum, I used homeopathy. So that would be my answer. You do not need to rely on these knocking out antihistamines. People panic. I think that's what it is. They like absolutely panic. On the other hand, if your kids, you know, I can't answer to everyone's unique situation, but I'm telling you, if you trust your own gut and you've got alternative solutions, then you'll know when you need to give them a big dose of, I don't even know what the antihistamine's called anymore, the syrup, or you just give them you work with them homeopathically. All those little things contribute to their toxic load. Antihistamine 3 times a week, you know, and then suddenly it's like, oh, they sleep better with antihistamine. Oh, maybe I'll give it to them. I'm like, oh my gosh, no. It's a slippery slope, you know, the whole idea that you take a pill and everything is fixed and you can just go and watch TV and relax. That's the mindset change that you've got to have. When you have a resilient child at the end of this year, 2 years, however long you want to take to learn, 5 years, they never get sick. My kids never ever get sick. So when as you said, we opened with, and we can close with it, talking about flu season and all this stuff. I'm like, what is that? Flu vaccinate? What is that? My kids, like, they don't get sick. And when they do, I treat them with homeopathy, vitamin C, food, and boom, you know. But it has taken a lot of work. That's not an overnight thing. And I'm not saying that frivolously, like this, like I'm this amazing mom. No. It's taken me a long time, as I said, to get to that point of understanding that resilience in the body is what makes a strong and dynamic human being. Resilience.
Amazing. I'd like to ask one final question, because people have mentioned this. Now, many people are following the tips that Sam shared when she spoke about the journey she had been on. Now, one of the tips that she shared was the red light therapy. Now, we love red light therapy. I think Sam explained that you can buy a device on Amazon. I wonder if you could tell people what the device is, how it can help, with eczema?
So red light therapy is an interesting one. It's made its kind of way around recently in the biohacking circles because of its cellular renewal, basically. The way in which the body functions around what we call circadian rhythms, the light and the dark of night and day, seriously impacts our ability for cell renewal, which is very important in children that suffer with eczema and have compromised skin, for sleep, which is very important for immunity and healing, and for actually our ability to concentrate and function cognitively in the day. So in the biohacking circles, one would say that the minute that you wake up, you expose yourself to blue light. Why? Because you're telling your brain that the sun has risen, it's a beautiful day, and I need to be alert and awake. That is the blue sky, okay? In the evenings when the sun starts to set, caveman times, they only ever saw shades of red, orange, pink, gold as the sun set, and that is a signal to the brain that it's time to relax, melatonin, all those beautiful things that prepare the body for sleep. But we are now giving our kids iPads at dinner. We're letting them watch TV just before bed. Some children are going to bed with devices. Then we are being sold night lamps that eject a massive blue light. Then you've got 10,000 EMF radio baby monitors in your child's room. And then they've asked for a night light, so you've put on another light that most likely has a blue face like all technology and devices do today. And that blue light interjects that circadian rhythm and tells the body it's wake up time, and it stimulates that adrenaline to be active, and it completely ruins our natural circadian rhythms. In our house, I wear those blue light blockers. All of our lights go off at 6 o'clock. We have dimmers on everything. There's no screens after a certain amount of time, especially after we've eaten dinner, which we eat at early, 5:36. And I have a red light that goes on my phone and my laptop if I want to work. So that red light therapy brings about unnaturally, because it would normally be from a sunset or something, all those healing benefits I've just explained to that child: cellular renewal, release of melatonin, relaxation of the adrenals. Now, eczema, keeping you up at night, itching, and causing a stress response in the body, could really do with a little bit of, oh my word, zen. Oh, my eyes, everything feels gentle, the sun's going down, it's been a beautiful day. And then scientifically, the wavelength of red light impacts and penetrates very deeply into the skin and causes that cellular renewal and repair. I'm not saying I never used red light for any of my children for their eczema. It's a beautiful bolt on for anyone. In fact, Fierce Nature, we're bringing out this beautiful little wand that helps pulsate the muscles in the face, and also heats up with red light, because of all that beautiful impact that red light can have on the skin. So if it's within your reach to get a red light that is scientifically proven for the wavelength, for skin cellular renewal and support of the skin, then by all means do. Yes, you can go on Amazon, but there are red lights, and there are red lights like anything in life. Look into it. Make sure you've done your research. Make sure that the claims are there. Understand what you're looking for in a red light, and have awareness. This is really something I can't talk enough about. People go into a doctor's office, you need this, 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 and this. Do you think any one woman goes, what is that? What's in it? What does it do? Any decision you make that someone else has told you that has worked for them, you need to have awareness and your own gut feeling. In my gut feeling, I was like, I don't need to put a red light on my child's skin. In Sam's gut feeling, it was perfect for Edward, and it supported and helped him. So think for yourself, do a little bit of research, and then make your own decision. Don't go out there and just buy everything and be like that. Make a considered and consolidated plan, a structure to move from where you are at now to a place of peace and healing, and take advice of your own heart along the way. But that gives you a little bit of insight into red light. If you want red light in your life, stop putting on bright lights at night when you're eating dinner. Keep things low. Warm lights in your home only. Little side lights. No electronics in your children's room whatsoever. No blue night lights. No blue air conditioning unit things. No fans. No blue nothing. And they will immediately start to sleep and heal from more exposure to dim, lower, more red light at night. And some people have been known to put like red scarves over a lamp, or get like, if you're not exposing your skin directly to red light, like this Fierce Nature wand we're bringing out, you could just get a red globe and put it in your lights in beds. I've got a red dinosaur, 3D dinosaur thing. I'll send you the link and you can put it for your followers in my child's room. that we put on so the whole room glows red in the evening, just to give all those healing benefits. That is very different from a proper scientifically proven red light that will regenerate the skin. But that gives you the information. Now you make the decision.
Yeah, amazing. And if we could just finish on one final practical tip for parents. How can we best support itching with eczema? People ask about different baths or creams. How can we help itching?
Yeah, baths are brilliant. There are a myriad of different baths, which I'll go into on the course. But throw your kid in a bath with 2 cups of Epsom salt, a cup of bicarbonate of soda, and a cup of apple cider vinegar. The pH will neutralize the itching in the skin, and they will feel immediately relieved. You can buy something called bentonite clay. It's called Fuller's Earth bentonite clay on Amazon. It's not expensive, £7 for 500 mils. And you mix that. You never let metal come into touch with bentonite clay because it is charged in order to draw toxins out of the body, okay? So you won't feel it, but if you put a metal spoon in it, it freaks out the charge effectively. So mix it with a wooden spoon, a little bit of water, and put it on the parts that are extremely itching while they're in the bath. And if you can, get them to stand up and play and let it dry. It will help to draw the toxins that are coming out through the eczema. Wash it off gently. Put them in that bath, apple cider, bicarb, a nice spray bottle of bicarbonate of soda, a little bit of apple cider and water. Dilute it and just spray on really, really helps. And I've even gone so far as to get our tallow through Fierce Nature, which if you enter the competition at the end of this, by the way, go and look on Rachael and my page. You can stand in line to win from all of our brands. But my Fierce Nature tallow balm without any essential oils, and I put a little bit of probiotic capsule into the cream. And the live probiotic bacteria on the eczema actually really helps with itching. But the best part is to put them in a bath with those things that I mentioned, the clay, and let them just kind of play and sit and relax and take their mind off of things. It can have a big, big impact. There's Chinese herbal creams that work really well. Don't have time to get into that today. There's homeopathy that works extremely well for itching. And there's also ionized water. Definitely don't have time to get into that today, but it'll be on the course, where you actually buy a machine that's about £1,000. I started working with it about 2 years ago. And it affects the pH of your water. And when you put a very acidic pH on the child's skin, it heals the skin and it cuts the itching, very, 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 very fast. And I just see a quick question there. Can children share a bath? Absolutely. I get in the bath with my kids, with the clay, with everything. As a mother, in Fierce Nature, we sell a detox clay mask, which has a myriad of other beneficial things in it, but a portion of it is bentonite clay. You can put that clay on your face. It will pull out all the toxins in your body. If you're suffering with mercury or toxicity in your own body, getting in that bath will be hugely beneficial. Bicarbonate of soda helps reduce radiation in the body as well if you've come off long flights and stuff. So, yeah, it won't hurt for everyone to be in that bath. And, the most important thing, filter the water that you bath in, for heaven's sake, please. Filter the water that you bath in.
Amazing. And just going right back to the beginning, just one more question, and then, but just on the foods to avoid. This is big confusion now. Within the foods to avoid, one of the less common one of the confusions is eggs, because of we know that eggs are so nutritious, but it's something to avoid in terms of dealing eczema and allergies. Could you just go a little bit more into the eggs, if that's okay?
Yeah, eggs is an interesting one. It's come up both times with my children, my 2 out of 3 sons that suffered, and they couldn't eat egg at all. So the most important thing to do with eggs is cut them out if you're finding that they're causing issues. Most of the time, it is actually the white of the egg, the albumin, the egg white. And I was very keen on my kids eating egg yellow because the choline in egg yellow is so important for their brain as they're developing early on. And for women that are pregnant, please eat pasture-raised, free-range eggs of the highest quality as often as you can when you're pregnant, because that choline really affects the development of the child's brain. But if you're not going to really, if you're not going to separate the egg and the white, then just let the eggs be for a little bit until they're strong and resilient. It's the protein within the albumin, as I said, that the body kind of battles with. And some children that are extremely allergic, case in point, my 3rd son actually couldn't eat meat from a chicken either. So those two can go hand in hand. So if you're struggling, you've let go of eggs and you've seen a bit of an improvement, try let go of chicken as well and see if it gets better.
Okay, so you would recommend, if we are looking at what could cause complications, you would advise to remove the egg white and the yolk as well. So
if you don't know what's what and you don't want to spend £2,000 on a lab blood test, eggs, wheat, dairy, sugar, gluten. Those are the 5 main things. And then outside of that are a little bit rare: fish, chicken, citrus fruits, peanuts. Anyone suffering from eczema should not be touching peanuts either way. Peanuts, every single jar of peanut butter on this planet, I think they've tested batch upon batch upon batch. Somewhere between 70 to 80% of batches are contaminated with mold. I've talked to you about mold toxicity. We do not touch peanuts in our house. Yes, there's that whole anaphylactic peanut allergy, but peanuts for eczema are not good. Peanuts and oats. I started off talking about oats. Get rid of those as well.
Oh, amazing. So I think we should probably wrap it up now, Catherine, but thank you for 12 hours as you did with Sam.
Oh yeah, absolutely, Rachel. It was such a pleasure, and thanks for bearing with me with my voice. And I really look forward to anyone that wants to join the course. You can email hello@thekineticblueprint.com or DM myself or Fierce Nature or Ossa Organic to sign up for the eczema course. And Rachel's brand, Mighty Kids Supplements, which I love, and my 2 brands, Ossa Organic, Fierce Nature, and my school, the Kinetic Blueprint, where I teach. We've all partnered together for this amazing competition for everyone that watched this live if you want to win. So go and have a look on our pages and you'll be able to enter and keep in touch with all of us, because I think we'll do this again, Rachel, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I really hope that lots of questions have been answered. And people know where to come to now for the support. The journey we can go on the journey. The support's available, the help is there. So thank you so much, Catherine, for that.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, everyone, and congratulations to listening to yourselves. It's the first step of the most amazing new beginning for everyone.
Yes, yeah, great.